All right. Hello, everybody. Brett with Top Hat Creative Market. I got Jen with me from Jen's Way again. And thank you for joining us, Jen.
Thank you for having me, Brett.
All right. So last month we talked about how I really wanted to get into content frequency and views. And Jen and I have been talking, and that looks like about 45 minutes. So we'll be doing that over the next few months. But what we're going to do today is talk about when and how often to post. Because Jen, you talked about that being one of the biggest questions you get. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably the first question I get when I start talking social media to someone is, well, when's the best time to post? And how often should I be posting? And like most things social media, there is no easy answer to that, unfortunately.
Right.
There's a simple answer to it. As far as when to post, it's when are you actually going to do it consistently?
Ooh.
Yeah. And of course, we can get into scheduling software, which can take that out of it completely. But when it comes to your business pages, especially, you're probably scheduling a lot of that software. But I still think it's wise to think about when would you actually post? If it's when do you find yourself scrolling on your phone? Because more than likely, that's about the similar time that your ideal audience is also sitting scrolling on their phone. A great example over at Just the Tips Coaching, we talk about this a lot. Adam, I did a bunch of research, and theoretically, the absolute best time to post on social media is Wednesdays at 12:30. Makes sense if you think about it. Halfway through the week, people are tired of working, so they're pulling out their phones, they're mindlessly scrolling, they don't want to check their email anymore, so they're scrolling and scrolling, right? Two things there. One, if everybody's scrolling, then is your content really hitting home with anyone, or is it
Right.
just getting lost in the shuffle? Just because more people are on and more people are seeing something does not mean that you're getting the benefit. And eventually we'll get into engagement and all of that, because that's a whole other beast. Because just because people are seeing it doesn't mean that that's the best time you should be posting it. And is your audience actually the mindlessly scrolling at 12:30? So I did an experiment with Adam's content, because Adam always posts very early in the morning, typically between 5 and 7 a.m., because that's when he gets up and he's posting. And then I post for him typically maybe midday or in the evening, especially around 7 p.m. So for a couple weeks, I was like, okay, let's try this Wednesday at 12:30 and see what happens. Keep in mind that we have had this very regimented, very early in the morning and 7 p.m. posting going for years. That has
Right.
been our MO for years. So for a couple weeks, we tried posting Wednesday at 12:30. Absolutely nothing. I'm talking zero engagement, zero likes, zero comments, absolutely no engagement, because the algorithm was like, this isn't what you do. What are you doing? Like, you absolutely train the algorithm to what you are consistently doing. So,
Ooh. They're even expecting you to post, not to. Oh, wow.
yeah. Yeah. So, if you go from posting in the mornings at 8 a.m. to suddenly posting at lunchtime every day, it's going to take a while for the algorithm to adjust, because you've been training the algorithm. Like I said, Adam has been posting early mornings for years. So to suddenly switch it, that's not normal. And that's not to say you can't ever post outside of your normal time, especially if there's something big to share. Like if you're attending a really cool event, or emotional posts tend to do well. I've seen, unfortunately, a lot of loss of pets lately.
Right.
And there must be words in those posts that the algorithm picks up on, because those posts always do really well. Or, like, I am running a workshop for the Denver Boss Babes, and I posted, I'm really excited to be running this workshop. And it was totally out of my normal time to post, but there's some wording in there that the algorithm is picking up on. So if there's something huge going on, then absolutely go ahead and post. But outside of that, my biggest tip is to look at when you're actually going to post,
Right.
and then schedule the posts if you want to. We can get into schedule. That's a great topic at some point too, as we could get into all the scheduling softwares out there too.
Right.
Um, and just be consistent, and don't expect it to be magic. A lot of people are like, oh, but I've been posting consistently at 7 a.m. for 2 weeks, and I'm only getting 2 more people engaging with my posts. Okay, it's going to take a lot more. Talk to me in 6 months,
Right.
when you've been doing it for 6 months or 8 months, and you're still not getting the reach that you want. That's when you adjust, because you're only going to confuse the algorithm if you go from posting at one time for 2 weeks and then you switch it for 2 weeks, you're just hurting yourself. So like, I mean, like with everything, it was the magic words at Mile High Mastermind this weekend was be consistent, be constant, and be authentic.
Authentic,
Those are the
yes,
three.
exactly. And that makes a lot of sense because you can work on a lot of other things besides the um, timing. You can work on the content. You can work on all the other things we're going to go over here. And that's really going to help engagement too and sharing and that sort of stuff. So being consistent probably really helps that algorithm out, I'm guessing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if you're just posting mindless memes that everybody else has posted, it's not going to matter what time you're posting. And again, you might get a lot of viewership on it, but that's never going to turn into anything. That's not going to turn into an authentic relationship that's going to turn into a client or a patient for a lot of your clients, or
Right.
it's not going to turn into anything fruitful. It's just going to be that a bunch of people laughed at whatever you shared, and
Right.
that's about it. But then as far as frequency of posting, that's a whole nother beast. And for a long time, everyone in my world was saying 5 days a week. You need to have content going out 5 days a week. And I don't think that's the
I
case.
I personally hate it and disagree with it, but I don't know if that's based on anything.
Well, I think that's important that you as a consumer, probably not even you as a marketer,
Right.
are you get tired of seeing the same posts. I do have a client that we post 7 days a week, but their product is very unique. It's challenge coins, it's mountain freedom coins. So there's most of the posts are just beautiful scenery, mountain photos. So that's not the same as me drilling down people's throats a product or a service.
Right.
But what's really interesting, we talked about this at Mile High Mastermind. The business manager through Facebook that you can schedule posts on will tell you the ideal time to post. And I have noticed with my clients that most of the time, the times that it pops up, it's no more than 3 days a week. So a lot of my clients, I'm recommending 3 to 4 posts a week. The fourth being kind of a motivational Monday quote or some kind of
Mhm.
filler, and not really high end content. And then 3 really solid pieces of content. But I think gone are the days of needing to post 5 days a week, especially to business pages, because business pages are hard anyway, and that's really difficult to come up with 5 good pieces of content every week for a
Right. I
business
mean,
page.
3 to 4 is very hard for most
Yeah,
most clients, unless you've got someone like us working with you. Uh, one in 50 or 100 businesses has someone in there willing to do that.
right, absolutely. And I mean, and a lot of people end up doing, like, 1 post. I have a new client that was like, "Well, we're happy to get 1 post out a week," and I don't think that's enough because
Right.
the algorithm is not really sure what you're doing, even if you posted it every Wednesday at 12:30, let's say, and I personally advise staying away from Wednesday at 12:30 because everybody thinks it's now the good that's the problem with all this, right? They say, "Here's the time to post," and then everybody posts and no one sees anything. So,
Right. Because you're
um
small fish in a big pond.
yeah, exactly. If everyone's posting, it doesn't matter that everyone saw your post. But anyway,
Right.
if you post once a week and it's Wednesdays at 12:30, I don't think it's enough for the algorithm to really learn what you're doing. And I don't think 2 days is enough either. My minimum that I suggest is 3 days, 3 solid pieces of content, but I tend to lean to 4. Sunday through Thursday is usually what I do with most of my clients because COVID really killed weekend posting because no one was out doing anything. And I think the algorithms are starting to learn that we're, out and doing things again. But I'm seeing that Friday and Saturday posts are not doing well at all in any of the algorithms. LinkedIn a little bit, but anything meta, Friday and Saturday posts are really hard. I mean, I posted videos of us doing karate at Mile High Mastermind. I was like, of all things, this should get some good reach because it was video and photo. It was us doing something crazy.
Right.
Um, and it didn't do well at all. And I posted it on Saturday. So I think
Interesting.
I think Fridays and Saturdays are still, unless you're out doing something really, really cool, like a badass concert or something like that, I would stay away from posting on Friday and Saturday.
Very good. Because the thing we're going to talk about, just to give you a hint of what we're doing next week, is content. generic versus generic, what I call generic branded. It's got your logo and stuff, but it's still just a generic for whatever your business is. And then real personalized posts that this business does this, and this is how we do it. So those three levels, and that'll go real well with mixing in with your three posts. Okay, we could do one that's more just generic branded, then we can do and you can give us an idea of, okay,
Absolutely.
what works best, what's good content, because you've said that several times, and that's hard to come up with, and not only hard to come up with, but hard to nail down. What is good content and stuff. So this timing is really the one of the key bits, and then the other bit we'll cover next month is the content, because those two together really pin down what you're going to do, right?
Yeah, so there's a quote, and I'll give credit. His name's Andrew Cady. He spoke at one of the first events I went to when I moved to Colorado, and he said, consistency is king, but content is queen, and she rules the house. So if you don't have, you have to have both, right? But
absolutely,
content is queen. Like you have to have solid content in order to make it all happen. So it'd be great to dive into that.
In terms of timing, we're sort of straddling between these two subjects, but that begs the question, is it better not to have a post or to have generic content?
I would say, oh, man, no simple answer.
Yeah.
I would say overall, if it's like you have two solid pieces of content and you're looking for something for that third day, sure. Then a more generic piece of content, like you should be brushing your teeth twice a day, like, but if it becomes to the point that you're having so much generic content and not anything beyond that, anything that's got some good depth to it, then you should be finding someone like us that can help you explore those options. Because there are things, I mean, I've never done social media in the orthodontist world like you have, but things, I mean, still great content is featuring your team members, and we'll dive into that more, but like really humanizing, no matter what field you are in. It's fairly unlikely that you're doing everything by yourself, 100% everything. I'm talking, I mean, you probably, even if you're a solopreneur, you probably have referral partners. You probably have someone that always is sending you great business. Maybe you have a dog in your office. We do that at Just the Tips all the time. It's, if I need content, there's 3 dogs in our office every day. Dogs are always great content. It might be generic-ish, but people love to see dogs.
Well, so they know, like, and trust you because you're a dog person. Just right there in there. That's the battle. And that's the whole thing, is everybody wants to concentrate on what I do. And until we get down who you are and do we really like you, what you do, we don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, so, exactly.
And it keeps coming back to that. I mean, since we've started talking, I'm talking to Lisa as well. I talk to Peter once a month, and themes really come up, and know, like, and trust, and authenticity, just pounding away on those. They're just really prevalent. They're top of mind every time we have a conversation like this.
Yeah, it's everything. I mean, I'm a millennial. I'm smack dab in the middle of the millennial generation, but basically all of the living generations have been sold to in some way since the day they were born, from, you know, bus bench ads to radio ads to, we've just been inundated with advertisements since the day we were born. And that's a big reason that the word marketing got such a dirty name. I remember growing up, I was like, I would never go into marketing. Like, that stuff's gross. They're just like tricking people into stuff. Right. But at some point, marketing we're teaching people how to be their authentic selves. And that's hard for business owners to go back to, like, no, this really is about who you are, not about what your product is, your service is, because we want to know where our money is going, especially with what's happening in the current climate. And maybe people have a little bit less money to spend on things like this. They really want to know that you're the type of person that they want to spend their hard-earned money on, and you're living a life that they want to support. So one of our speakers this weekend spoke. He's 21. He was our youngest speaker. He made all of us feel very old. But he talked about TikTok, and eventually we can talk about TikTok too. But he said that TikTok is like punk rock, that it's so authentic. It's people being real. It's getting down to the nitty-gritty of who people actually are. And I think that goes beyond TikTok. I think that's everything social media is just who are you? Who why how'd you get where you are? That's another great one is sharing your story of how because people have incredible stories and
Right.
people want to know how you got where you are now.
That makes sense. And while you were talking about that, I was just thinking about the big companies, and they do that too. They try and personalize this great big corporation and make it something that you can relate to.
Yep.
And if they're doing it, they're spending all that kind of money. It obviously makes sense that as a small business, that's going to be one of your main things you need to pay attention to.
Yeah, it'll be a lot less expensive for us to do it versus them trying to Apple trying to tell you that they care about you holding their phone and no.
E- Exactly. Exactly. We all have an iPhone, but or at least half of us do, and the other half hate them. Anyway, well, thank you very much, Jen. Anything else you wanted to add today?
I don't think so. I'm looking forward to diving into types of content next month. I think that'll be great.
Yeah, I am really doing looking forward to that too, because that is one of my biggest things. Is I see people. I almost tell people don't post when all it is generic, and you go to the next post and it's got the same background. The next post and it's like, no, 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 stop. Let's stop until we
Mix it up.
found something better, and then let's do that and let's get consistent with that. So I'm really looking forward to next month. I really appreciate your time. Thank you
Yeah,
for sharing with us, and we will talk to you next month.
sounds great. Thanks, everybody.